Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Mercy Oge. I make videos on sewing tutorial, and in today's video we'll be learning how to make this beautiful trendy outfit. If this is your first time coming across my video, thank you for stopping by, and don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel. And to my returning subscribers, I want to say a very thank you to all of you. Without wasting much of your time, let's dive into the tutorial. First thing you're going to do is to get your pattern paper and draft your basic gown. It could also be a long gown, but for this video we'll be drafting a short gown. So from the top of your pattern paper, you are going to impute your vertical measurement. That is from your shoulder to your nipple point, your underbust, your waist, your hip, and the full gown length. After that, you're going to connect it with your straight ruler and also label the lines. From the top of the pattern paper, which is also the shoulder line, you're going to divide your shoulder measurement by 2 and mark. From there, you're going to come down by 1 inch, and then from the center front, you're going to measure and mark 3 inches. That is the standard neckline measurement, and then you're going to connect the shoulder slope this way. Next thing you're going to do is to mark the chest line, and to determine that, you are going to divide your bust circumference by 6. Whatever you have, you're going to add 1.5 to it, then you're going to mark. In order to get a straight line, you're going to measure what you have from that point that you marked your chest line to the bust point. Whatever you have, you're going to mark it across the pattern paper, and then you're going to connect with your straight ruler. On the chest line, you're going to measure and mark your shoulder measurement divided by 2. Then you're going to connect from the slope to that point with your ruler. To get the armhole, you're going to divide that line by 2 to get the midpoint. Then you're going to come in by 1/2 inch. And then you're going to measure your bust circumference divided by 4. And you're going to impute it on the chest line. And you're going to use your curve ruler to connect from that point to the 0.5, then to the shoulder slope this way. Once that is done, you can go ahead and mark your body measurements. That is, on the bust line, you're going to divide your bust measurement divided by 4 and mark. On the waistline, you're going to do the same thing, your waist measurement divided by 4 and mark. Also, on the hip line, you're going to divide your hip measurement by 4 and mark. Then for the down parts, which is the hem part, you're going to bring down whatever you have on the hip to the hem parts. Then you're going to use your ruler to connect all of these marks. For the neckline, you can go up by 2 inches from the underbust, or you can measure from your shoulder to wherever you want the opening to stop. Then you're going to use your curve ruler to connect from that point to the 3 inches neckline this way. But if you don't want the front to be unfold, like you want a space in between, you can just cut it open from the shoulder to the underbust. You don't need to come up by 2 inches. What you're going to do next is to go over to the waistline. You're going to mark 3 inches from the waistline this way. Then on the hem line, you're going to mark 2.5 inches or 3 inches, depending on how wide you want that part to be. If you want it 5 inches wide, then you're going to mark 2.5 inches. Then you're going to use your ruler to curve it from that 3 inches on the waistline to the 2.5 or 3 inches on the hem. After that, you can go ahead and add your sewing allowance. The next thing we are going to do is to work on the sleeve. Now, there are 2 ways you can draft the sleeve. The first one is to go to the shoulder line. You're going to add extra inches to the shoulder. Let's assume you want to have a sleeve of 11 inches after the gathers. You know there is a gather or a pleat around the shoulder. So you're going to add extra inches that will give you 11 inches by the time you are done gathering. Then you're going to bring down the same, whatever measurement you impute on the shoulder, you're going to bring it down to the underbust then you're going to connect. So when sewing, you're going to mark from the shoulder to 11 inches. You know, like when we are sewing our boo-boo, you're going to mark from the shoulder to 11 inches for the sleeve opening. Then when you are cutting out, you are going to cut out from that shoulder to the underbust. I don't know if you understand me. But for this video, I'll be making use of the slash and spread method, which is the second way you could draft the sleeve. So because of how the sleeve is and we are not attaching extra sleeve to it, so we'll not be making use of this initial armhole. Pay attention to how I'm curving the armhole down to the bust point. So this is how it's going to be. With this now, I'm done with the front pattern. So the next thing is to go ahead and cut out. I'm going to cut from the underbust to the new armhole. Then after that, I'm going to draw lines for the slash and spread. I'm also going to label the line so as to not get confused. Then I'll now set it aside. After that, I'm going to go ahead and label the remaining parts of the pattern, that is the center front and the side front. Then I'm going to cut out the center front first. After cutting out the center front, I'll now go ahead and cut out the side front. Now for the side front, I'm also going to mark lines for slash and spread, because you know there is a gather on the sides of the dress. So we're going to use this side front pattern to achieve those gathers. Why I'm going to use a slash and spread method for the sides is because I want the gown to be equal at the hem at the end of the day. I want it to be equal. I can use the other method of getting a long fabric. After sewing the center front and the shoulder, I will just sew it and gather it on the sides. But after that, if I'm to use that method, it's not going to be equal. You are going to have to maybe have someone trim it after sewing. But with this slash and spread, if you do it properly and you sew it properly, everything is going to be equal at the end of the day. Also, always remember to label anything you're slashing. For instance, you're slashing the side front. You're going to label it as side front 1, side front 2. If you're slashing the shoulder, you're going to label it as shoulder front 1, shoulder front 2, and so on and so forth. And always remember to use the arrow to indicate the up and the down parts of the pattern so as to not get confused, because it could be confusing sometimes. So what we're going to do next is to draft the back pattern. In order not to waste too much time, I've already gone ahead to draft the back pattern off camera. It's just the same way we drafted the front pattern. The only difference here is that I added zipper allowance of 1 inch. For the back neckline, I connected from the 3 inches neck width on the shoulder to the bust point in a slant form. It must not stop on the bust point. It depends on how high or low you want the neckline to be. You can decide to come up above or below the bust point. It's just your choice. Then I added my seam allowance. The next thing I did was to bring my front pattern paper and match up the armhole because I want them to be the same. What we are going to do next is to eliminate the zipper bulge. On the waistline, you're going to come in by 1/2 inch. Then you're going to use your ruler to connect it slantly back to the chest line this way. And also, we're going to also connect it to the hemline in a slant form this way. Then from that point where you marked that 1/2 inch, you're going to remeasure your 1 inch zipper allowance. Then you're going to use your ruler to reconnect it back again. Hope you understand. Next is to go to the hemline. From the center back, you're going to measure your 2.5 or 3 inches. Then on the waistline, you're going to come down by 3 inches. Then you're going to use your curve ruler to connect, just like we did for the front pattern. Here I'm trying to cross-check the side front if I will have the same thing with the back pattern, even though I've already slashed it, but here I have the same thing. And just like I did for the front pattern, I also went ahead to mark lines for the slash and spread for the back. After that, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the pattern, and I'll also mark lines for the shoulder, for the slash and spread for the shoulder. What I'm going to do next is to get the front and the back pattern of the upper part, or should I call it the shoulder pattern. Then I'm going to cut through the lines for the slash and spread. And remember, when you are cutting this front shoulder pattern, when you're cutting it on your fabric, the fabric is going to be on fold. Remember, we came up by 2 inches. Unless you want to have an opening in between your chest, just like I explained earlier, then you're going to cut everything out. Now, if you don't want to have pleats on the under bust, you're going to cut through the lines. Then when you're getting to the end, you're going to stop. You're not going to cut out everything. You're going to stop. But when you want to have pleats on the underbust, you're going to cut everything open. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to be cutting everything open because I want to have pleats on the underbust. And also, remember to label your patterns. For this project, I used 3 yards of crepe fabric. So I've gone ahead to cut out the center front, which is on fold, and also the center back, and it's open because of the zipper. Then I also added seam allowance for the joining of the pleats. After cutting out the center front and the center back, I measured what I had remaining. I had about 2 yards and some inches. So I folded it into 2 this way. Then I fold it again this way because I want to cut for the 2 sides at the same time. Or if you want to know the exact amount of fabric you're going to use for the gather, you're going to measure this part. You're going to measure it, and whatever you have, you're going to multiply it by, let's say, 2 or 2.5, depending on how full you want the pleats, the gathers to be. And also remember that it's on fold. Let's assume you measured and have 19 inches. So when you open up the 19, it's going to give you 38. So you're going to multiply that 38 by 2 or 2.5 or 3. So here I've gone ahead to pin down the side pattern for the slash and spread. I'm using the side front because the front and the back is the same thing. So I'm going to cut everything at once. In order to determine the spacing for the slash and spread pattern, you are going to divide the fabric into how many pieces the pattern is. Then you are going to mark and pin it down. Then on the side pattern, which is where the side seam is, the bigger pieces, I'm not going to cut open the sides because of the style we are sewing. It's going to be on fold. So then I'm going to use my chalk to curve and blend everything together. Then I'm going to cut out. Also, remember to add joining allowance at the upper part, and also on the hemline, you add extra inches for the hemline, unless you've already added it when you're drafting on the pattern. And as you can see here, the side is on fold, and you may need to notch the center. After cutting out, we are going to curve and blend this part that we are going to join to the gown. You know, this particular one now is going to be a gather that we are going to attach after joining the center front and the center back together. After joining it together, that's when we are going to run gather stitch and join this one. So we are going to blend it this way so that when you are running your gathers, you are going to start from the hem. If you don't blend it, you are going to do this mistake of running your stitch from the side and not from the hem. So by the time you are done gathering and joining to the gown, you are going to find out that the gathers will be longer than the gown itself. And from our pattern, you will see that that side is curved and not sharp. So you are going to curve it that way, and then sew your gather stitch. Sew it from the hem. Don't make the mistake of sewing from the side. It's going to be longer. So you're going to curve it and sew it from the hem. Then you're going to gather. I've gone ahead to cut it out, and this is what I have. So when I'm running the gather stitch, I'm going to start from the hem all the way to the upper part. I've gone ahead to pin and about to cut out the front shoulder, and as you can see, it's on fold because of the 2 inches we came up from the underbust. So I'm going to do the same thing for the back shoulder, and I'm going to cut out. Now it's time to sew. We are going to cut out a facing to turn up the neckline. So you're going to place it this way, and you're going to run a stitch all around the neckline. Then you're going to iron it flat. You're going to do the same thing for the back necklines also. So here I'm done turning and ironing the neckline. So what I'm going to do next is to get the down center front and notch the center. Then I'm also going to notch the center of this upper part, the shoulder part. Then I'm going to run gather stitch on the upper part, so that by the time I'm done gathering it, it's going to be the same with the center, the down part of the center front. Then for the back, I will get the upper part for the back, and I'm going to run gather stitch on it, so that by the time I'm done gathering it, it's going to be the same thing with the down part of the back. Then I'm going to fold the armhole area to hide the rough edges. I've gone ahead to join the down part together with the upper part after gathering or pleating, and this is what I have. I also did the same thing for the back. So what I'm going to do next is to add the zipper. Here I'm done with the zipper. So what I'm going to do next is to join the shoulder. So I'm going to pleat the shoulder to the length I want. Then I'm going to join with 1 inch. I'm joining with 1 inch because if you look at the gown, you will notice that there is a strap, there's a rope on the shoulder. So in order to achieve that, I'm going to join the shoulder with 1 inch. Then I'm going to fold that 1 inch to create a channel where the rope is going to pass. When you are done with all of that, you are going to impute your body measurements and join the sides. Now, if you want to have this snatchy effect on the waistline, you're going to add a belt or loop on the waist before you join the side, so that when you tie it at the back, you're going to have that snatchy effect. I did not make the videos because I didn't have it in mind to attach any of those. It was during sewing that I decided I was going to add a loop to mine. So as you can see from the video, I've already joined the sides and my loop. So what I'm going to do next is to turn it to the wrong side. Then I'm going to fold in on the shoulder, that 1 inch on the shoulder, I'm going to fold it in this way in order to create a channel where my rope or strap is going to pass through. When you're done with all of that, the last thing you're going to do is to get your material for the gathers. You're going to run a gather stitch on it, then you're going to do the gathers. When you're done with that, you're going to get the midpoint of the gather, then you're going to join it to the side of the seam side of the main gown. Then you're going to sew it all the way to the hemline. You're going to do that on the 2 sides of the gown. Then you're going to hem the down parts of the gown. You're also going to sew a long strap for the shoulder, about 40 inches long and 0.5 inch wideness. And also, if you're using a loop on the waistline, you're going to also sew a long strap for it, which is optional. And with this, we have come to the end of this tutorial. So if you find this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share and comment. Thank you. See you in my next video. Bye.